I'm Rex Briant from Gisborne, east coast of the North Island, New Zealand. Started a company called White Pointer Boats about 32 years ago, and had no idea what was ahead of me. So here we are, 32 years later, on the Sunshine Coast in Aussie, and catching up with a really loyal and supportive customer on a second white pointer in a new country. Pretty cool. Yeah, boat building was probably a bit of a shock for the community, or a surprise, because it's not a community that really had that sort of heritage. Gisborne's a primary producing farming community, and I was a tradie out of school. Did my time as a diesel mechanic was where I went, and when I finished that I was looking around for something else to do, really, a new challenge, and I got introduced to the idea of aluminium welding and making a boat, and it was super basic. It was a little jet boat, and went pretty well. It was just very captivating, and so one thing led to another. We actually built some of the tunnel hull drag racing boats that were pretty damn cool in the time. But I really wanted to stay in Gisborne, where I was from, and there was no future for that kind of dream. But there was definitely a future for aluminium boats and coastal boats, and I went to a few boat shows and looked around and went, wow, man, these boats are very early stage of development. You know, plate boats weren't really the thing. There were a lot of tinnies and little light runabouts, and the plate boats were just starting, and I thought I could do this. So yeah, that's the transition. It was a matter of how I was gonna, you know, survive and just make a living. Yeah, well, you know, the jet boat shape is never gonna cut it in the sea, and you know, even the method of building them is extremely basic compared to what we're shaping for the sea. And I only learnt that by making one of the best decisions I ever could have done, and that was I found a naval architect that had a particular talent, and you know, I followed his brainchild. The boats just went so well through the water, it just started to generate torque. The fast track to here, 32 years later, below the waterline stuff hasn't really changed a great deal. The philosophy of the way that plate had to be shaped remains the same, and it was pretty new for that time, and in aluminium, that is, really. I don't think anything new about there was nothing new about the method of building the boat, but the using aluminium in that kind of way was pretty cool, and I was fortunate enough to make that step. After that, we've really, you know, worked on styling and meeting the market of what people want to have, you know, hooked on behind, and what they want to take to sea, and what they want to have in their garage. And I'm probably biased in this comment, but I think they've become a pretty cool looking machine, very modern, stylish, possibly timeless now. You know, my brand is really starting to, you know, earn that status, and you know, the resale value has been incredible. They're quite sought after, well respected, huge family of followers that are just magnificent people. Here we are, Sunshine Coast in Aussie. Hamish Bell is just another typical superb customer in our fleet.
My name's Hamish Bell, and currently sort of unemployed at the moment. We sort of had a big business in New Zealand and sold that and moved over to the Sunshine Coast, and just sort of planning the next move sort of sometime soon, hopefully. But at the moment I'm sort of quite relaxed and enjoying the lifestyle, the weather and the boating.
Hamish's first boat was a New Zealand conditions boat. It had a locked up, closed up cabin. It had a table and a bit more interior cabin comforts for a young family, wife and that, plus his mates. But the brief when he decided to migrate to Australia was the temperature played the part, and he was coming to a much more tropical climate. So you know, he needed to open the cabin up. He wanted a big spacious deck. He wanted to travel at speed, long distances. And it's a game fishing boat. It sits in all weather outside. You know, so the white paint is even a factor. You know, it's not just styling. It's a durable colour, white, for the sun. Easy to keep clean, damn easy to repair.
So we started probably 5-6 years ago with a 750 white pointer, also called Outcast. And then after we decided to make the move to Australia, I sort of showed the boat to a few mates in Aussie at the fishing club, and they said probably not quite ideally set up for, you know, Australian conditions in terms of, you know, the weather and the heat and things like the live bait tanks, stuff like that. So sort of got back on the sort of phone to Rex and said, mate, let's custom build something specifically for the conditions over here, and that's sort of how we ended up with this. And we fished it for probably a year in New Zealand first, did the White Pointer Boats tournament down there again, and then shipped it over on the trailer to Australia, which is certainly quite a process. It was a challenge, but I mean, certainly worth it in the end. Okay, so the boat's a 8-metre custom cruiser, and we spec'd it with the 300 offshore Yamaha, spec'd with the Helmmaster. With the boat, I really wanted to go for sort of a white theme. I mean, white's probably the most common sort of white pointer, and so with this one I sort of said, let's go the white outboard. We went the white outriggers, white roof hatches, just to try to differentiate it a bit and make it a little bit sort of different to the norm. In terms of electronics, just Fruno, the TZ Touch 19-inch screen, 1 kilowatt through-hole transducer. Like I said before, not big on sort of bottom sounding. It's not the be-all and end-all to me, but I've fished with sort of Fruno all my life and kind of pretty comfortable navigating my sort of way around the system.
So the 8-metre is 8.25 metres length overall. That doesn't not include the bowsprit, but we rounded it down to an 8-metre. Seemed like a good round figure, mostly the way I've done my boats. 2.5 metre beam, got a good deep hull side with a reasonably deep cockpit floor, so there's good underfloor storage and tankage and flotation, sealed chambers. However, we still feel we've got quite a low centre of gravity boat, and that was one thing we dropped from the very first commercial 8 metres. We dropped the floor. Personally, I think I've got the right mix there. The balance is good, the stability's good, centre of gravity's bang on, the sleekness and look on the water's just bang on for my eye, and I think that there's a lot of people that agree, otherwise we wouldn't be selling them. 6mm hull standard, done a lot of them in 8 on request. I wouldn't push it, it's a neat feature, but I wouldn't push it as an essential. 8mm hull, 6mm transom, all the gunnels and bulwarks are 4mm, all marine grade 5083 plate. Decking's all 4mm marine grade, and this particular boat's got a 400 litre tank in it. Generally we start the deal off with a 300 litre, so that was one of Hamish's requests. Got a great freezer system, and we've been doing these for years in all sorts of ways, from seat box freezer seats inside to the big lounges out here. Just big storage under this lounger here for gear bags and stuff. A couple of access hatches, they often get drawers and bits and pieces in them. Nice helm chairs, fold up armrests and bolstered seats, and you can actually sit up quite a bit higher when you push the bolster up. Lock-up cuddy cabin, very popular for an open boat. So often we'll have a lock-up cabin and that be open, or the other way around, sometimes completely open. Then the helm and dash gets customised to whatever the specification of the electronic request is going to be. So engines and electronics are just, you name it, we're happy to accommodate it. They're all magnificently fantastic in my opinion. As I say, the marine industry is developing new technology that is unbelievably cool, and so there's never a dull moment there, never a dull moment.
Once you go to a full custom alloy boat builder, the world's the limit. You just keep ticking boxes and keep choosing whatever you like, and you don't have that option on a fiberglass boat.
This boat is a neat boat to interview, really. It's cool for me to come here and see it nearly 2 years old, and it's just absolutely pristine, immaculate. Everything's weathered well, and it's doing what he wanted it to do. And I just pinch myself when I walk around it and go, I nearly forgot about this boat, but here it is again. We have these interviews and these events, they're sometimes staged around the latest and greatest of every frill that might have been put in a boat. Well, that didn't happen here, and I'm not going to hide that. This is a boat specifically for a job, and created a couple of years ago, and here we are looking at it now, and it's still damn cool.
The other thing for me that always drew me to White Pointer is the look. Like I think a boat has to look cool, and certainly for this one, moving here, and it sits right in front of our house, and we have dinner out there, and you end up looking at it 3-4 hours a day, so it has to be easy on the eye, and I believe it's the best looking plate boat on the market. But over and above, it's more about the ride and the custom. Look, there's nothing I would probably change about this one. This is through years of research and knowing what I wanted. This is exactly sort of how I built it. Other people would probably build it differently. They'd probably maybe spec some better sounding in terms of 3D sounds and stuff, but for me, I just predominantly game fish, so it wasn't really a biggie. But the things we love about it the most is just the open layout, the rear-facing lounge seats, just and created so much more space by adding those cages on the back, casting platforms. It's just been it's been a game changer over here. So we've got these custom rod holders that we can store the rods. We can store 6 50 wides or 80 wides under the cabin roof, which is really helpful, especially if you're doing long trips, and being able to lock them away in the cabin. Such a small optional extra in terms of price, but it's made a significant difference.
So those are the features that a lot of boat builders have to accommodate now. There's the built-in stuff that comes around fabrication that people have input around. For our customers, what they ask for are pretty damn good ideas that don't always go on all boats, but they may get reused again because they've been such a good idea.
So we went out for a bit of a cruise just at Mooloolaba. The forecast was chopping and changing all day yesterday, and I know we were sort of, are we going, are we not going? And mate, there was schools of fish everywhere. It was phenomenal, and we weren't really perhaps sort of equipped. We had all the heavy game gear on board, but hey, we gave it a couple of casts, but without much luck. And I think the boys, when they had to go out the spearing, the water's pretty murky. It's rained a lot this summer, and it's definitely affecting the water quality. And it's like I said before, it's been a pretty average fishing season on the Sunshine Coast and perhaps Queensland all year round. One of the things I say about Rex, he's more a boat builder than he is a salesman. And I'm sure he doesn't mind sort of admitting that. But for me, it was always, if you want the best boat, it's a White Pointer. So I knew who I was going to get to build the boat. I knew the reputation, the quality of the boat, and that was the only choice for me.
Hard lessons in boat building. Yeah. Actually, I don't know if I want to give all of those away because they've made me a better person for surviving. That's something that they'll have to figure out themselves, and something I'll teach my son. But we're not perfect, and I've stubbed my toe plenty of times and had to get up and make it right and carry on. So yeah, I think it's a tough game, but maybe that's me. But I think it's a tough game, but it's the best offer I've had. And I've stuck with it, and I think if you find your groove in what you're doing, you just stick with it and continue to fine tune it. And that's really that's been my journey, is just fine tuning my groove, and here we are, still doing it.